I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona at the time. I believe it was around 2000 and I was 8 or 9 depending on the month. I'm not 100% sure. Well, there used to be a huge park just behind the row of houses that were facing mine. I could walk there in less than 5 minutes, and I did frequently because I was new to the neighbourhood and was hoping to meet some new friends to play with. After a while of doing that, I had a few people I would call friends. One weekend I headed over to the park after Sunday cartoons. Everything was going well until some alcoholic man pulls up and starts yelling at me from his pickup truck. I ignore him and keep playing on the monkey bars. He gets out of the truck and starts chasing me. I was always playing tag and running with the friends I had made, so I easily ran through the playground and avoided him for a little while. But I was really scared, and then I see a woman with a baby sitting in the shade 60 yards away. So I ran as fast as I could over to her, and then he decides to walk over to her to avoid suspicion. He tells her that he's my dad and I'm grounded and shouldn't be outside. I explain to her that I've never met him before and he's trying to kidnap me, and she confronts him and tells him to go away. Luckily there was a nice lady with a baby, otherwise I might not be here. I was 11 years old. I spent the night hanging out with my closest friend at the time. I left around 7 o'clock. She was about a 15 to 20 minute walk away from my house. It was the month of December, so it was icy and dark outside. While I was walking down the long sidewalk, I had to make a turn halfway. Across the turn down the sidewalk, I noticed a man way further down. He was alone at that moment. 10 seconds later, a 4-door car drove up to him. It was a long street till my turn, so I watched him talk to whoever was in the car. It sped off and he just stopped, watching me walk. As I kept walking, all I heard was, "Hey you, come here, stop, hey you." I freaked the fuck out. I started walking faster, and then I noticed he started running towards me. I started running for my life. Since the ground was covered in ice and snow, all I literally thought as I was running was, "Please God, don't let me slip. Mom, please help me." I was crying as I was running. He caught up extremely fast. I kept looking back and noticed the car slowly driving behind him. As I ran, I felt his arm reach out and tried to grab the hood of my sweatshirt. By God's grace, his hand slipped and I ran a block trying to find a house with its lights on. I finally found one and banged at the door, almost ready to break it down to get in. This older couple finally answered. I ran inside explaining what happened. The husband then went outside and tried to find him. When he went out, he saw the man standing at the end of the street, staring at him. Then he ran off. My mum called the cops and pulled me out of school for 4 days afterwards. He was never found. For a while after, I would buy some flowers and a card and leave it on the couple's step, thanking them for saving my life. God only knows what would have happened if he got me and dragged me to that car. Let's never meet again. This still haunts me to this day. I remember it pretty vividly, and I consider myself to have a pretty bad memory. When I was 10, my mother needed to go to Walmart and grab some groceries. Being the hard-headed kid I was, I didn't want to go inside, so she let me stay in the car. I was reading a book and listening to music when all of a sudden an old beat-up tan car parks next to me. I look over and it's some guy in his 50s. The guy then opens this car door and he's completely naked except for a trench coat. I freak out and lock the doors. He begins to masturbate profusely while staring at me, and I just avoid eye contact. This goes on for about 10 until he finishes and leaves. My mum comes back about 20 minutes later, and I tell her what happened. She is pissed and flags a security officer. But she didn't know any English, so I don't think it got through. My mum never left me alone in the car again until I was in my teens, when I would just stay at home. I also never found out any more information about him. Guy that robbed me of my innocence. Let's never meet. This didn't happen directly to me, though I was in the home when it happened. The witness to all this is my older sister, Tori. Around 1999, my sister and her friend Chrissy were 16, and Chrissy had just gotten her license. They had been out joyriding in Chrissy's villa. We lived in a newer development in a pretty rural area, so there wasn't much else to do for fun. When they got back to our neighbourhood, it was already dark. Chrissy lived about half a block away, and so she was going to drop Tori off before heading home. The house we lived in had a large patio extended from the front of the house with trees along either side, blocking the view from the driveway. Chrissy stopped the car in front of the driveway and Tori was about to get out of the car when Chrissy grabbed her arm. Tori looked back and saw the look of fear on Chrissy's face. She turned back towards the house to see what had caused this reaction and saw a figure crouched in the shadows between the parked cars. Looking back at them was a man in all black. He wore a black long-sleeved shirt, black pants, and most frighteningly, a black ski mask. He was also completely barefoot. As he made eye contact with the girls, he raised his finger to his lips as a gesture to shush. Tori slammed the door shut as they raced to Chrissy's house, where her father called the police and my father. No trace of the man was ever found. What really frightens me about this occurrence is that my parents, myself, and my younger sister were all home at the time. I don't know if the man had any weapons or if he would have moved along when he realised the house was occupied, but I'm glad my sister came home when she did. And creepy, barefoot, shushing man, let's not meet.